Hello folks, it is Sunday and I am here for a nice relaxing session of question and answers. Let's get into it, shall we? Well, we'll get into it in a minute. First of all, if you want to send in some questions for me to answer when I do these kinds of videos, then make sure you are subscribed to the Patreon. The link is down below. All you need to do is sign up to that at any level and then send me in some questions when I ask for them. Or even when I don't ask for them, but then you risk me not seeing them. Do you know what I mean? So when I ask for them, send me in your questions and I will endeavour to answer them when we do one of these videos. These are my favourite kind of videos where I can sit here with a cup of tea, chill out, not have a script to read off, and generally, you know, get what's going on inside your guys' heads, you know what I mean? Very, very, very nice. It is a Sunday, at least it is for me. Hopefully you're having a good day too. I'm chilling out. I may do some hobby later, we'll see. I'm trying to get my kill team ready for June. It doesn't sound like a big task, but I want these models to be like really, 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 really good standard because I'll be playing against subscribers. If you are around in the UK in June, then make sure you head to Composite Games. It is in Doncaster in the UK. I will be there all day playing games, and we're looking at getting a kill team tournament or a combat patrol tournament on the go. That would be amazing if we could get that done. That'd be absolutely awesome. But anyway, more info on that will come towards the day. But I'm desperately trying to get my kill team ready for that. So I don't normally read out the names of people who've sent in these questions. I was about to say Hobby Nightmares, these questions. But I will do for some of them, because some of them are pretty cool questions, alright? So if you've let me know that it's okay to say your name, then I will do. If you haven't, then I won't. Alright, so first question is, and I quote, "You've done a couple of videos covering the best legions and primarchs. Let's go even more specific. Who are the best characters in Warhammer 40k in general?" Oh my god. Trees and the Infinite. Trees, as a historian myself, Trees and the Infinite, and a wargamer, Trees and the Infinite is the GOAT. He's amazing. I love that guy. I'm not into Necrons as a whole, which is why I don't really collect, you know, anything to do with him. But I don't really like his model either. But I love me some Trees in the Infinite. I think he's one of the best characters in 40k. And in Warhammer in general. He's a really, really, really good character. Well written, lots of depth. And there's something to be said for comic relief. Actually, Belisarius Cawl also, very recently, has gone up in my estimation. Because most of his, shall we say, scenes in Genefather and other books like that are very comedic, and I like that in 40k. I like a bit of levity in 40k every now and again. I like the Caiaphas Cain novels, you know, things like that. I like it when 40k doesn't take itself way too seriously, but instead gives us a bit of levity, do you know? And those two characters are sensational. Love them to bits. And they're not Space Marines as well, which is quite surprising, I know. But there are no... Space Marine characters are very one-note. You know what I mean? They're one note. Like, I am, you know, Captain, you know, Gaius Tiber of the Ultramarines. You know what I mean? They're all very, very one note. The fact that you get, like, you know, Grey Knights who act and talk like Space Marines quite a lot of the time. Yeah, they're a bit, you know, they're a bit wizardy, but that's pretty much it. They're a wizardy flavour of Space Marine. So whilst I love the lore of chapters, and I love the lore of wider armies in terms of Space Marines, the best characters often are Xenos in nature, because most Space Marines act around about the same way. Maybe they're a bit more aggressive, maybe they're a bit more angry, maybe they're a bit more stoic, but in general, do you know what I mean? A Space Marine acts like a Space Marine, and the best Space Marine characters always tend to be from the more, shall we say, independent Space Marine chapters, or they're a part of not independent Space Marine chapters, but they are very independent characters within those chapters. Do you know what I mean? Dantioch, for instance, one of those characters, right? Anyway. Next. Okay. With the pain of scalpers for the End and the Death Volume 3, what can Games Workshop do, if anything, to stop the scalpers from getting these limited edition books and army boxes? Should they remove limited editions to be a made-to-order deluxe edition that is only available to order for 48 hours, or should they try something different? Would be curious to hear your thoughts. So, I know a lot of people did videos on this because it was a thing, you know, that Games Workshop were pushing back against scalpers. Thing is, and I'm not going to have a go at Games Workshop too much here, they can't really do anything. You know, they can't, with their current business model, Games Workshop cannot tackle scalpers. You know, if they carry on doing what they're doing now, they can't tackle it. It's not doable. You're right? You know? You cannot bring out a model line or a book or whatever and make it limited edition. You only make so many. At the minute you only make so many, and you commit to only making so many, scalping will be a thing. No matter what you're going into. Could be a video game, could be a set of clothing, whatever, you know? That's why it's called a limited edition. They're worth more, right? And you normally get more with your purchase too. So, if you stick to that kind of a model, you will get scalpers. And there's very little you can do about that. They've tried to do things like, of course, they've tried to do things like limiting one purchase per, IP address and things like that. Or no, they haven't even done that. They've limited it to one per account, which is fine, but you just make another account and you get it sent to another place. Like, if I wanted 5 sets of The End and the Death Volume 3 to sell on eBay, all I would need to do was order one to my house under one name, order one to my mother's house under another name, order one to my sister's house under another name, and so on, so on, so on we go, right? With different cards. I could give them their money, I could send money via PayPal to my mother and to my sister, and say, please, can you order this for me? Thank you. Right? Because I want more than one copy, and they're only letting me buy one copy. You do that all the time. Maybe you give them a kickback of like 20 quid for, or whatever for the effort of doing that for you. Because when you sell it on eBay, you're going to be selling it for hundreds and hundreds of pounds, right? Dead easy to do. It's so easy to get around the Games Workshop rules and the Games Workshop efforts to stop scalping. Now, I do really appreciate that Games Workshop are trying to stop scalping. I agree that's the right way to go, and that they don't like it. Thank you for coming out and saying that, Games Workshop. That means a lot to all of us. But at the end of the day, the current business model basically ensures scalping will be a thing forever, right? Because you're not going to be able to police it. It's something they will always get through the cracks and find another way. Now, what you just said there in your question was very, very, very pertinent, and is how I would solve the issue. I would say, for the next 2 days, or for the next week or whatever, next week, these are made to order and you can order them. They are limited edition. They're not limited in number, right? They're limited in for how long we're making them. And you can order however many you want, and they'll be sent to your house, no problem, right? And you've got a full week to go and get it. That'll make sure that everybody who can't get it one day will get it another day in that week, right? Even if they've got to say, hey man, do you mind buying this for me and I'll pay you back because I don't have the money right now? Everybody will get one. Okay? That kills scalping. Dead. You say, yeah, The End and the Death Volume 3, the Collector's Edition, we're making that for 1 week in this time frame. Bang. Right? For 1 week. Everybody, or 99% of the people who want one, who really want one, will get one. Yes, there will still be people who go through the cracks. I'm not saying everybody's going to get what they want. A few people will go through the cracks. It's just going to happen. A few people will just be like, oh, no, I didn't see the announcement, so I didn't get my model. That sucks. And yes, it does. Or I didn't get my book. That sucks. It does. But they would be in the minority. Most people who are keeping the ear to the ground for that product that they really want are the people who get these things. Right? So you make them. You say, I will make all of these, all of the End and the Death Volume 3, I will make them all in this 1 week. Limited edition, that's what it means. It's limited. It's a limited print run, right? We're doing a print run this week of this thing that you can buy, and that's it. After the week, after the Sunday, midnight on Sunday, it's gone. You eliminate scalping, as far as I'm concerned, because everybody gets what they want. You're not limited in numbers. If 1 million people order The End and the Death Volume 3, 1 million copies will be made and sent out. Right? Everybody gets one. If you order one, you get one. And that's the way to go about it. Again, scalping will still be a thing here in terms of, that one unlucky person who didn't get the memo. He has to go and buy one from eBay, and it's marked up in price. But because of the saturation of the market, that markup in price on eBay won't be 700-800% of its actual worth. Do you know what I mean? It'll be like, if it costs you £90 from Games Workshop, it'll cost you 110 on eBay, something like that. Do you know what I mean? Because the market's oversaturated. You've pumped out so many of these to everybody who actually wanted one that the scalpers aren't making that much money, right? That's how you get around it. So you did it in a way, you already gave me the answer right there in your question. So that's how I would go about fixing it. And the same would go for models. If you're doing a limited edition model, like Bernard's Revenge or anything like that, you bring it out, you say, we're making it for a month. Or however long. We're making it for a month, say. It's a limited edition run of this model set. We're making it for a month. Get it while it's hot. Everybody gets one that really wants one. And then you say, right, bang, limited edition over, that's done, right? You could even coincide it with White Dwarf. Say, look, in this month's White Dwarf, there's a big reveal of this month's limited edition run. And it'll be in there as a big advertisement. People go, oh, I'll go buy that. And they'll go buy it, and everybody who gets one wants one. That's what you do, all right? It's not perfect, not a one-size-fits-all, but you eliminate a lot of scalpers doing this. Because you take away FOMO. You take away fear of missing out. And if you take away fear of missing out, scalpers have got no room to wiggle. But the thing is, Games Workshop have been in bed with scalpers for a while because they love FOMO. They love fear of missing out. That's how you get to buy all the models and sets that you don't think you're going to get if you don't buy it right now, right? That's how I would do it anyway. Alright, next question. Hello North, here's a fun question which may be of interest. If we put all the Hobby Nightmares into a ranking system, which would come out on top as being the worst? For example, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is okay and 10 is unacceptable, get out of my hobby store. Picking up people's models without asking could be a 7, for instance. I know what you mean now, okay. Picking up people's models without asking would be a 7 on this scale, for instance. This could be a 10, however, if they have greasy, crisp fingers or something. Would love to hear your thoughts. Alright, cheers. Well, thank you very much for being involved in the Patreon, man. And, right. Picking up people's models without asking, for me, if 10 is the worst and 1 is the best, right? 1 is the least offensive and 10 is the most offensive. I'm going to go with that. That's like a 9 for me. Picking up people's models without asking is a 9. Because even if a child does that, I'm still just as pissed off with the parents, right? Like, what are you doing? I'm about to slap your child, Put my grey knight down. I'm about to slap your child. But then you realise you're a grown man slapping somebody because they're slapping a kid because they're, messing with your toys. I don't know, man. Yeah, it'd be 9 for me. I would say cheating in 40k and in wargaming in general has different levels to it, right? So I think one of them is age. So if you're a young person and you haven't learnt yet that cheaters don't really prosper, do you know what I mean? Not in the end. It's not a good way to live your life. That's like a 3 for me. It's not that severe. It's annoying, and you need to learn not to do that, but in terms of how annoyed I am reading about it, it's about a 3. Because you're young, you know what I mean? Now, if you're old, and you're a veteran, and you've done this for years, and you're cheating, that's near enough a 10. At least for me. near enough a 10. It's just something that really rubs me up the wrong way. You know? Getting your rules wrong, here's another thing, right? Here's another thing. We'll leave that alone. That's a 10. 1 second. I'm going to take a sip of tea here. Alright, so, here's another thing. How do I put it? Exhausting nerds are a 10 for me. Now, any of you who've worked in a games workshop or have worked in a place where you're facing people who are nerds who you're selling stuff, or anything like that, really, if you've run a D&D campaign or you've been in charge of nerds, right? You've been in charge of them. Any of you who have been, you know, that kind of, in that kind of pool will know what I mean. Some nerds are insufferable, and when they are right at the top of the list, okay? There was this guy in university. I will use him as an example. I had just found out when I was at university that my girlfriend, who had just split up with me, or, you know, we just naturally broken up, was pregnant, right? Well, not only that, she was keeping the baby. And not only that, she told me that she was on all sorts of protection and that she had, you know, something implanted that made sure that she couldn't get pregnant, things like that. Essentially, she'd lied to me. I went with her with what she was saying for a while, and then my sister was actually seeing a doctor at that stage, who was actually a gynecologist. And I asked him, I said, you know, what are the chances that she's gotten pregnant on the protection we were using? And when I showed him what we were using, he was like, yeah, either she's not taking that properly or she's lying. You know, or she's 1 in 10,000. You believe what you want to believe, dude. And yeah, so I was not in a good place. I was very, very, very angry that essentially I'd been taken advantage of, and, you know, I'd had something done to me, as in, you know, she'd used me to get pregnant, which is, you know, since then, those times, we all suspected that's what was going on, you know what I mean? Now we know that's what was going on. Like, we actually know that's what she was doing. Through her own gloating and things like that, but, you know, it is what it is. So, I was taken advantage of, and I was now a dad, and I was saving that for my forever person, for my wife, whenever I met her, you know what I mean? And it's become a real thing where girls I've met when I've been like, oh, maybe this could be the one, they've all been like, they've all gotten along with it and said, no, it's fine, you've got a kid, but I really wish, like, it could have been me to give you a kid first. Do you know what I mean? And I'm never getting that back. That was taken away from me. I'm never getting that back. So I'm in university, and I'm, in general, you know, annoyed about what's going on, and I've kept it to myself, not really spoken to anybody about it, and for some reason we're sitting around a table with a bunch of people from, like, from the gaming society, which are all nerds. They're all nerds. But there's one guy there called Harry, and Harry is a bit of a little dickhead, to be honest with you. He's a nerd who is just absolutely loving. He's convinced he's some sort of edgelord that can't be touched, right? You see where this is going. I was okay with this guy. Like, he never really annoyed me, but he always came out with, like, really weird, really harsh stuff, you know? And you sit there looking at him going, why did you say that, you know? Anyway, he literally, when I say to, all the guys there are saying, you know, oh, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to stick around, obviously, you know, she's having a kid, I can't stop her, blah, blah, blah. And he says, so basically you're a deadbeat dad. Right, straight away. Without anything. So basically, you're a deadbeat dad then, and look straight at me, like, really condescendingly. And to this day, I'm surprised I didn't get into real trouble, because my supervisor for my coming dissertation was a guy called Dr. Woolmer, and he was sitting nearby, and he's just there, a big dude, you know, and he's just there having his dinner in the canteen, like we all are. There is a pitcher of water in front of me. Right? It's full. I pick it up and I throw it in this guy's face. Like, literally just threw it at him. Uproar, you know, all that kind of stuff. And you could tell he's literally grabbing his face. Nothing wrong with him. There's nothing wrong with him. He's grabbing his face and crying. He's crying out of shock. Right? You can't believe somebody actually took him to task for something that he'd said. I just snapped. I'd had enough, right? Those are the kind of people who are a 10 out of 10 for me, right? Nerds who think saying nasty shit to people makes them clever. You all know nerds like this. They think they're untouchable. They literally say, no, because of the boundaries of adult behaviour, and that most of the nerds around them are nice people, they seem to think that they can say and do whatever they want. They can tell you that, you know, they can just be nasty to you the entire time, or they can say edgy things, and they always say the same thing. You know what they say? Oh, I just call a spade a spade. It's like, no. 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 You're a twat, is what you are. Okay? What if the spade isn't a spade and you're a twat? It never occurs to these people, and I've come across so many of them. You know, working around and serving in geekdom as a whole, I've come across hundreds of people like this. And it is a real shame. Because most nerds, especially older, daddish nerds, you know what I mean? They're all amazing. Absolutely amazing people. A good 95% of people in nerddom are amazing. The problem is, if 5% of the people in your whole subculture are assholes, that's a big percentage. And I would go on and say, in nerd culture as a whole, about 5% of them are dickheads. And that's a huge number. That is a huge number. It's unfortunate, but like, that's me through my life, through working for companies like Games Workshop, from running my own hobby store, from making sure that, from running my own campaigns, from being, you know, involved in different societies and things like that, all the way through the years, even down to being in school, where I was in the nerdy group, but I was still kind of the leader because I was quite well in with the popular crowd as well. So I was looked to as like oh, you know, North's our guy, right? You know, he's our guy. And since I was a kid, I've been that way, you know. And most of my friends, like my mum says, you know, you always pick up bastards and broken things, you know, because she read Game of Thrones, you know, God love her. But she said, you know, that's what you do, you know. In general, you get these people who are broken, or who don't have many friends, and you become their guy, right? Most of the friends that I know of who go out and have a drink, they're there because of me. They all know me. And that gets exhausting after a while, because sometimes I don't want to be the one always organising nights out or getting people together. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I want to be asked, and you never are. When you're the social... If you want to know whether you're the leader, right? Whether you're the leader of your social group, do they ever invite you out, or are you always inviting them out? If you're always inviting them out, it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, nobody wants to invite you out. Everybody in your group is looking to you to lead them, to take them out, to get them together. You're the social glue. If you don't talk to these people, do they talk to each other? If not, you're the social glue. And it's a hell of a fucking burden. I'm telling you now. It's not nice at times. You know, I'd much rather be the guy being asked to do things than be the guy asking people to do things all the time. But it is what it is. But yeah, there are lots of people like that in geekdom, and those are the people who are a 10 for me. That is my submission for 10, right? I've got very little patience for them. I give them short shrift. I either move away from them. As soon as they do the first thing that's toxic, I either move away from them, or I give them a tongue lashing and say, look, listen, you're a dickhead, and here's why, right? Don't suffer fools. Don't, you know, let them get away with it. It's your hobby too. As soon as people act like dickheads or assholes, just either move away. Your hobby time's too precious. Or if you can't move away, or if you've had enough, let them have it. Say, listen, mate, you're a fucking cunt. That's what you are, right? That's exactly what you are. I need to grow up a bit, right? A lot of you will probably be like thinking I'm talking nonsense, but there will be quite a few who are sitting there thinking that's happened to me. Not like somebody said that to you, but when I said about the deadbeat dad comment, a lot of you were sitting there thinking that's happened to me. Yeah, I've had an edgelord idiot around there who says, no, I've just got no filter. I say it like it is. Right, no. No, mate, you're a cunt. That's what you are. Alright? Cool. Awesome. Another thing on that, just before I finish on that question. If you're from Eastern Europe, I love you, you're great. Or the Balkans, love you, you're great. But I've noticed a lot of nerds from that region are very much like this. You know? Spoken to dozens of them in this line of work. Dozens. And I'm telling you now, a lot of them are like this. I tell it like it is. No, mate. You've got no tact. Right? You're either autistic or you're a twat. You've got no social tact whatsoever. You're either autistic, which is fine, and I'll work with it, no problem. Or you've just not got the skills, and you've never wanted the skills to actually not be an arsehole to people. Right? You think the world owes you a favour. You think the world needs to acquiesce to what you're like. No, mate. No. You know what that's called? Being a twat. That's what that's called. Don't know why. And feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know why. But it just seems to be the attitude over there of, oh, we're so tough. We're so tough. Oh, yeah, we're so tough. Oh, and then fucking sucking their own dicks. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, calm down. Doesn't make you sound tough. It makes you sound like an arsehole. Nobody's going, oh my god, you hear what he just said? Oh my god. No. Everybody thinks you're an arsehole. And the people who don't are people who are similar to you, and you really want that for your audience. You know? Yeah. Moving away. Moving away from that. Oh my god, this is a long question. Alright. He says, I do have one question for the Q&A, alright? It is huge, though, so I'm going to take a sip of tea and then I'll read it out. One sec. Alright. I do have one question for the Q&A. I want to point out, before any of the below is read, that I am a disabled person with significant physical disabilities and also mental health issues. Again, this is why I don't read out people's names, right? Serious depression, if you wanted to know. So, I have personal experience of disability in the hobby. Okay. I believe, I don't have numbers to back this up though, that our beloved hobby of wargaming tends to attract a significant proportion of disabled people. Particularly people with conditions such as autism and Asperger's syndrome. Yeah, it does. I don't have the numbers now, but I did. Because Games Workshop look at these things. And it does. You're right. As we know from your Discord, there are also a lot of people in the hobby who are fighting mental health battles that would, due to their duration, count as a disability. The attraction to the hobby is due to lots of reasons, not being limited to, but including the structured nature of the rules, how process-driven building and painting models is. We've all done assembly lines when painting or building our standard line troops, for instance. The fact that there is a social element to the hobby, but most of it can be done alone, in silence, and for many more reasons. You have also read out a number of hobby nightmares where the behaviour of a person in the story could be attributed to various learning disabilities. What I want to ask around this suspicion is a couple of questions, alright? A. What's your take on the above? As in, do you agree or disagree with the above statement about our hobby attracting a lot of disabled people? I've already said I do. I agree with it. Yeah, it does happen. B. Do we as a group need to recognise the above, if you agree with my assessment, and educate ourselves about disability and how certain conditions can manifest behaviours that others find odd? I do, to a certain extent. Yes. But the problem is, and this has happened a lot around me too, I've known people with autism to use autism as an excuse for being a twat. And I don't agree with it, right? Most of the autism affects everybody differently, of course, but most of the absolute chads, awesome blokes that I've met in the hobby have been on the spectrum somewhere, right? most of the guys who I have had such a laugh with over the years. There's a guy in university called Lawrence, and if you're watching this, Lawrence, hello. Very tall guy, was into basketball, but he said to me once, you know, oh, did you know I'm autistic? And I said, no, I didn't know that, you know. He said, yeah. So he's operating on the spectrum, but he's quite a canny operator. Anyway, me and this guy went, all right, I'll just tell the story. It's Sunday, why not? So we are down in the bar one day, right? We're down in the bar chilling out. And a friend of mine, Steady, who was another friend of mine, was essentially, ages ago, he was talking to a girl that he liked, essentially, right? He liked this girl. And we are down in what's called a social. And a social in university is basically a big party. It's just a big party in the student union or wherever else it is. We didn't have student unions at Durham. We had colleges, and each college had a bar which had like pints for like £1.10. It's ridiculous. And you just got absolutely wasted. So a social was essentially a party that was happening in that bar. So we're standing down there one day, and Steady's looking around, and he sees the girl that he likes. But Steady's wearing this bowler hat as his thing, right? He just wears a bowler hat every now and again. And I say to him, drunk as a skunk, right? Absolutely drunk as a lord. I'm sitting there and I'm going, listen, mate, what you should do, you know, what you should do is you take off your hat, right? You give it to her, right? And then at the end of the night, you go and get it back. It's like a prop, right? You got an excuse to go back to her now, right? And he's like, oh, that's actually really good. Because he's an engineer, he obviously thought, that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to try that, right? So he goes over and just, it sort of like starts going over, then stops and goes, no, mate, no, I can't. I was like, all right, fair enough. Give me your hat. He goes, no. Yeah, give me your hat. So I take the hat off his head, right? I go over to this girl and say, you said you like this hat, right? And she said, yeah, I love it. So, right, Steady said you can wear it on the dance floor. He'll come and get it later. Oh, I tell him thank you. I'll say hi to him later. Okay, fair enough. And she goes off, and I come back and I go, mission accomplished, right? Little did we know, other things happened that night. We got more drunk and so passed out, and this girl went into town and, well, probably lost the hat. Steady's favourite hat. So, over the next day, this is the story that me and Lawrence were talking about as well, which is why we were absolutely bent over a table laughing, but you probably won't find it that funny. Anyway, the next day, Steady's downstairs, and he's in the canteen, and we're sitting there talking to him, and he says, oh, did you get my hat back? And I said, no, I think she still got it. This girl still got it. He's like, oh, for fuck's sake, I'm going to have to go and talk to him. Oh, my God, it's going to be so embarrassing. I was like, no, mate, don't worry about it. Anyway, he then, just as student life goes, he doesn't see this girl for a long time, right? So he sends her an email. And he says, listen, you know, that was a hat that was very dear to me. You know, if you could get it back to me, that'd be awesome. Thank you very much. Also, would love to take you for a drink sometime, blah, blah, blah. You know, Steady. No reply, right? He sends another email. No reply. He sends another email. No reply. And this is going on for a couple of weeks, right? And then one day, another social comes around. And she's not there. She's somewhere else. And me and Steady are talking and having a good time. And the next morning, I'm in the canteen, a bit hungover, eating some badly cooked bacon. And it's like, oh, you know, this sucks so much. And Steady comes down, and he looks crestfallen. Like, seriously, crestfallen. And he says to me, I might have screwed up last night. Right? What do you mean? He said, I sent her a lot of emails about my hat, and about asking her out, and I was like, what do you mean? And he showed me this, like, transcript of these emails getting more and more steadily deranged as they go on. Like, hi, just got back from the social, you weren't there. Can I have my hat back? Lol. Hat, please. I need my hat back. Blah, blah, blah. And they get more and more and more deranged until the last one just says, hat. Full stop. Oh, just so funny. He just absolutely, he's over the, he's in love with this girl. Hat. Full stop. And then the very last email he sends is a clip art picture of a bowler hat. That's on its own. I just like, it's fucking brilliant, man. I know. A big lead up to a shit story. But we were like absolutely bent over a table laughing at this. And I've never seen a guy lose his shit more. Because, you know, this Lawrence knew Steady quite well and was, you know. And so, autistic people don't really have any fear with me. I don't really feel like they're different. I feel like they're kindred spirits more often than not. You know what I mean? And a lot of them are well up for a laugh, and they're just like really, 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 really funny. But, and people like Lawrence will tell you this as well, a lot of people do use autism as an excuse to be a cunt, and you shouldn't. And it is annoying. So yeah, I agree. We should have more parameters involved in the hobby that basically educate us into what autism can be, what it can look like, what depression can be, what it can look like. That is huge. Like, depression is a huge one for me. Because we all suffer from it to some extent. That's why we play with little toy soldiers, right? We absolutely need more of that going on. We need more tools to combat it in the hobby. We need more ways to be able to recognize it and support it. Support those people who are going through such things. I think my channel is one of those vectors where you can learn how to do that by osmosis, really, by looking at the hobby nightmares, having fun with them, and, you know, putting your brain in gear. But yeah, more tools would be good, mate, yes. C. Is enough done in the hobby, not just by GW, to welcome disabled people and make it accessible for them? Yeah. Actually, yes, I do. I think a lot is done to make sure that people are welcome here. Maybe we could get into the minutiae of, are there disabled ramps at stores, but I don't think that's what you mean, you know? But yeah, I do. Actually, I do. I think that the hobby itself is set up to attract people like that. If it's already set up to attract people who are disabled in one way or the other, then how is it not doing its job? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it is set up to welcome people of that ilk, yes. D. If the answer to C is no, then what can we do to make our hobby better, safer, more welcoming, and supportive place for disabled people? Well, there are always ways to improve. The thing is, getting into the hobby is a very personal choice. And I think a lot of disabled people see a lot of themselves in the hobby, which is a good thing. And so they come in, which is fine. Retention's the main thing, though. Welcoming is one thing, retaining these people is another. So I would go on to that. I'd make sure that once somebody who's got a disability is involved in the hobby, that they feel safe to stay. That'd be my thing. Rather than getting them in's easy. You know? The hobby's the hobby, look at it. It's awesome. Getting them in's easy. Getting them to stay is difficult. So that's what I would do. I would literally go and get these people in, and I'd keep them in. And I do so by 9/10 of the battle, I'm telling you now, is understanding, because people with disabilities don't want to be treated differently. Let me just repeat that. People with disabilities, by and large, don't want to be treated differently. It's the opposite, right? When you see all these lefty things of, you must do this and you must do that to welcome these people in, they don't want that. They think that's fucking cringe. Right? They want to be left alone to paint the toy soldiers and to have friends and to not have their disability stop them from being normal people. That's what they want. If you're keeping the hobby doing that, you're on to a winner. If your hobby says, I don't give a shit if you're in a wheelchair, I don't give a shit if you're autistic, I don't give a shit, I'm going to treat you the same as everybody else here, because I'm a nice guy, and I think you're a cool person, and I think we can roll some dice together and have some fun. If that's what you're doing it right. But don't treat people differently in the hobby just because they're disabled or anything like that, right? I think we already do a very good job of that. I really do. Anyway. Alright, next one. I have one for you this time. Firstly, thank you for the time you take reading our nightmares and stories. No problem, man. Thank you for giving us advice in those tales and for all that you do. You have been a great companion to listen to at my desk while painting minis and so on down the road. No, thank you, man. Cheers. Now for my question. Have you watched the painting phase at all? What are your thoughts on their interviews with some of the early greats of Games Workshop? Thanks again. I know of them, but I have not watched many of their videos, simply because I like my own hobby time, you know what I mean? And I love doing my own hobby time, and my own channel takes a lot of my hobby energy too. So by the time I finish my own hobby and my own channel, I don't really watch other things if it's nothing to do with lore. Lore, I can sit to and relax to and watch all day long, right? Anybody who will attest to the hours I spent watching Amber King's videos will know how much of a fiend I am when it comes to watching lore videos, right? But in terms of the nitty-gritty real life stuff, I tend to leave it alone. Because I hear about it every day. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, let me take a sip of tea here. I know one of the main guys over there used to be a Games Workshop manager, I think. So, good on him for getting involved and for getting on YouTube. Best place to be. But yeah, I can't really tell you much about them, man, no. I assume they're doing good work. If you like them, you got good taste, you like my stuff, so yeah. Hopefully they can carry on do some good work. One thing I will say is that a lot of their thumbnails I've come across, again, I've not watched the content, but a lot of their thumbnails I've come across tend to be very down the line when it comes to Games Workshop. One thing I don't like about ex-Games Workshop people being on YouTube is that they never, ever, ever hold the company to task over anything at all. That's left to normal consumers, right? Normal people. From what I've seen of the painting phase, they actually do talk about Games Workshop shortcomings, which is pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool for ex-Games Workshop people to do that. Anyway. What Horus Heresy Legion are you looking to collect, and will it be the progenitors of the Void Talons? Ooh, no, it won't. It's going to be Loyalist Word Bearers. Yeah, you can tell I'm a lore guy. Loyalist Word Bearers. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing a dualist, section of Word Bearers, essentially. There are no progenitors of the Void Talons because they are essentially World Eaters without the Butcher's Nails. That's what they are. And their Supreme Commander, their Chapter Master in Yasharo Dugal, is actually Angron without any of the Butcher's Nails. So he's a lot smaller. You know, he's like slightly taller than a Custodes, right? He could probably take a Custodes. You know, he's in the upper echelon of Chapter Master power levels, you know. He's really up there. But yeah, he's a World Eater. So no, I'm not going to do World Eaters. But I'm going to do Word Bearers because I really like their books. I really like Betrayer, and I really love The First Heretic. Those are my two. In fact, those are the books out of which my 40k and 30k armies have come from, right? So the Loyalist Word Bearers are from The First Heretic, and the Void Talons are actually from the Betrayer, right? They've come from those two books, so they're awesome books. So yeah, that's what I will be doing. Not looking forward to painting grey, I'll tell you that much. Alright. As a father, do you find yourself feeling like you're not doing enough despite all the needs being met by your child? Some real dad talk, I guess. I have two. A boy, 5, who's autistic, and a girl, 3. And she's a handful. I've been married for 11 years. It's difficult for my wife to do literally everything for the kids whilst I'm at work providing, but it feels like I should be doing more, but I'm never able to be home to take some weight off her shoulders, and man, it bothers me. Well, that's because you're a good man. That's because you're a good man, my friend. That's exactly how you should be feeling. But it's not really your place. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're providing for your family, right? You have a nice family unit there. Do not take on more than you should. If you're able to come home from work and play with your kids, because you've still got the energy to do so, you're winning, and you're doing exactly what you should be doing, right? But if you come home from work to do more work, so you're knackered, and you can't do anything, because the wife who's at home all day is doing nothing, or doing very little, that is a situation you don't want to be in. So your current situation seems to be working out just fine, right? You're working, you're doing well, you're coming home, and if you've got time and energy to spend with your kids and your wife having fun, dude, you're killing it. That's what you should be doing, alright? That's what you should be doing. And listen, my own mother said this a few times. Whenever somebody said to her that being a mother is hard, she laughs. And you know what she says? Any job you can do whilst in your pajamas isn't a fucking job. It's not. Spending time with your own kids isn't a job. Spending time with your own kids is a wonderful, wonderful gift you've been given. If you can do that for a living whilst your man goes and works, you are set, my dear. That's what you are. My mum would have killed. She was a single mum. She would have killed to be in your wife's situation. You know? Able to take care and have fun with her kids every day. Sure, kids can be stressful, don't get me wrong. But able to go and have fun with her kids every day, to bring them up, to see them growing every day, and not have to go to work and work her fingers to the fucking bone as a single mother. She would have chopped her right arm off to get that gig. I'm being honest now. Literally, would have chopped the right arm off to do that. Most mums out there would. So the fact that your wife gets to do that, mate, you're killing it. You're absolutely... So do not take on any guilt that you're not prescribed to. Literally. Okay? I've had to do that with my own daughter. You know? It got to the stage with my own daughter when I wasn't allowed to see her. When my ex kept cancelling on me, when it was my time to see her, I would take it as a thing that, you know, maybe it's a fault with me. You know, maybe it's me. It's only through therapy that I realised, no, it's not fucking me. She has fun whenever I'm with her. We always go out and we have a really good time. You know, when she's with me. So why the fuck should I feel bad? No. No. I'm not the person dragging her away from me. Like that's not what's happening here. But men have a big self-persecution process going on in their own brains a lot of the time. And you shouldn't. Do not take guilt that is undue and is not for you. You're already working full-time, dude. You're doing your bit. Your wife's doing hers. Let that be the end of it, alright? Cool. Yeah. But yeah, I always feel like I'm not doing enough for my child. Yes, always. Even though I am. I always feel like I'm not. But yeah. That's just called being a dad, dude. This is called being a dad. Next one. Alright. I guess this would be more of a fun question instead of a Warhammer question. But what is your drink choice when you go out to a bar? Yes, I will be judging since I do run a bar. Newcastle Brown Ale. Newcastle Brown Ale or Asahi Super Dry. Asahi Super Dry is a gorgeous pint when it's poured properly. Really, really, really nice. So yeah. Newcastle Brown Ale because I don't get drunk on it. Well, no, I do get drunk on it, but I don't get hangovers. I've never had a hangover on Nuki Brown, ever. Right? So, Newcastle Brown Ale, if it's a long night, Newcastle Brown Ale. If it's not, oh, Trooper too. Trooper is also a good one. So, Newcastle Brown Ale or Trooper in a bottle, top stuff. Top stuff. Aside from that, Asahi Super Dry, very, very, very nice. I don't really do spirits, because they always make me ill. They don't get me drunk. No, they get me too drunk, and then I'm ill the next day. What's the point? You know. Anyway. Hey North, what do you think of Charlie Veitch? I don't know who that is. I've been watching his videos. It's eye-opening for me to see the English cities. Very shocking to see shops like Aldi and security guards on the front. Okay. I see this all the time because I live in Liverpool, so a lot of our stores have security guards at front. But before you say anything about Liverpool, that's all over the UK. Literally all over every big city in the UK I've been to, there's always been a security guard outside of things like Tesco's or, you know, big stores. to make sure things don't kick off and you don't steal anything. Now, I'm not very high on the UK. I will gladly say that. I love being British, but I think the country's just shit. I just do. I just think it's shit. Anything but being a hobbyist, you know what I mean, and being able to buy stuff at a price that is really expensive but not like beggaring. Anything beyond that, I'm not very high on Britain at all. The people in it annoy me, and the thing is that having lived in the States for a while and suburban America, the difference in attitude is stark. You know what I mean? People would wave to you on the street. They would nod to you. Hey, how you doing? All right, bye. You know, you could go out to a bar on your own in America and meet friends, meet new friends. That's what it's there for. You go out on your own, say hi to a few people. They say hi to you. You start talking. You find out, oh, this guy's a judge. Cool. You know, what do you do? What's your day look like? Blah blah blah. You know, what do you do? Oh, I'm a teacher. Oh, that's awesome, man. Blah, blah. And away you go. Try that in the UK. See how far you get. It is a very cold, very insular, very snide country. I'm being honest. I know. I'm down on my own country. It's not a good place to be. That's just where I am, dude. I just see it all the time. The pandemic showed me a lot, right? The pandemic showed me a lot about people in this country and about how most of them are dickheads. Most of them are dickheads. And if I can get my missus, when we have kids, to move to somewhere like the States, especially where I was, like suburban America, like a decent area America, where the prices aren't too high, dude, I'll be gone in a fucking flash, honestly. You know, there's nothing wrong with the UK in terms of, like, you know, being in a developed country. I'm not one of these people who says you should feel bad for being British. That's not what I'm saying at all, right? In fact, the people who do say that are one of the reasons why it fucking sucks to be here. Okay? But I do look at the, you know, having security guards outside of your fucking stores should show you what your country is like. Do you know what I mean? Let's be honest. I'm sorry for the downer there, but just how I feel. Even teaching, the kids in public schools are a fucking nightmare. A nightmare. That's why I went to private teaching. They drove me away. I was like, I'm not doing this every day. For this pay? Go fuck yourself. For this? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely. I was getting paid more in America at a shit school. It was considered that where I was in America, I'm not going to tell you where it was, but the school I was in, where I was teaching in it as a job in America, was considered shit. Everybody was like, oh my god, you teach there? Oh dear. Oh geez. Ooh. I was getting paid twice as much as I am in the UK, as I was in the UK, for being a full-time teacher. Twice as much. And they were better behaved kids. Right? They were kids who wanted to work hard to get out of the situation that they were in. In a shitty area. You know? So, I'm just... In the UK, it was completely different. In the UK, unfortunately, it was kids who were ungrateful, kids who were cheeky, kids who were violent, kids who were genuinely not nice people. Right? Not just that the kids. No. These kids are genuinely not nice people. And they will grow up to be fucking dickheads. Right? And when I thought, why is there such an epidemic of little shits? I just thought back and I thought, well, most of the dickheads that I was at school with, and the dickheads who were just coming up below them, you know, in age, these are now their kids. That's why. If you're listening to this, imagine the people in your year at school in the UK. Were most of them assholes? Yeah. Now imagine them having kids. Yeah. That's why I don't teach in public schools anymore. So, again, I'm not high on the UK at all. You know, I'm very proud to be British. I'm very proud of our culture. I'm very proud of our history. I'm very proud of our armed forces. I'm very proud of being here and being British and being around the place. I'm very proud of that. In terms of Britain itself as a place, compared to some of the worst places in America, this place is a fucking cesspool, man. And that hurts me to say. It does. It hurts me to say. Because I am an Anglophile in terms of I love being British, you know? But the place itself, and the people in it, and the cultures in it, and what we get up to, and what we have to put up with, it's fucking bollocks. Absolute bollocks. And you can tell me all you want that America's just the same. No, it isn't. Americans love to say this. Oh, it's just as bad over here with Biden and Trump. Oh, no. When was the last time Biden or Trump took actual fucking food out of your kids' mouths? Never. You don't see them. Right? Happens all the time. All the time. Americans say that to me. Well, it's terrible over here. Mate, unless you've lived in both, you don't get an opinion. Sorry. Unless you've lived in both. I've lived in both, and I've lived in a not great area, in a not great school, right? In the US. 10 times better in terms of a school experience. 10 times better in terms of most experiences in the US than it is over here. Unfortunately. You can say it's not all you want, but unless you've been here for years, and you've been there for years, you don't know. It's not the same. It's not the same. Alright? Sure, there will be places in the US that are terrible to be in. But in terms of, for most of it, man, I'm telling you now, an average city in the US and the average city in the UK, don't even compare them. Don't even compare them. Right? Don't even bother. So yeah. I love being British, but in terms of, like, being around the place, it sucks. That kind of thing sucks, yeah. Having security guards outside of your general stores, yeah, that sucks. How do I get over a lack of motivation when painting minis? You put a project in place. As in, you're going to an event, or you're going to create a campaign, or you put something together with your friends where you've got a day where you need all your models ready for, right? Now you've got something to aim for. That's when you start doing your hobbying. That's when you start putting things together and making sure things are painted and done, right? You got something to aim for. That's the main thing. Have a structure. Every single day, have a target that's hittable. So, for me, what I do normally is I make sure all the silver is done. If I've got a 10-man unit of Space Marines, I'll make sure the silver is done on one evening. I'll undercoat them after I've built them, leave them to dry, and then the next evening, they will all get 2 nice coats of silver. That's it, right? And that's all I need to do that night. I'm not overwhelmed, that's all I need to do. Then I let them dry. The next day, I put the ink over the silver. I dull it down, right? Really dull it down, and then dry brush the silver, the dulled down silver, with a bit of, like, really bright silver. To really pick out the edge highlights and things like that, right? And that'll be my second night. My third night, I'll start picking out the details. You know? The grids in the armour underneath, you know, things like that. All things like that will start happening on the third night. And so on and so forth we go. So at the end of the week, I've got a 10 completed Space Marines. Alright? And then I base them over the weekend. Job done. That's 10 Marines done in a week. And that doesn't sound like it's very quick, but you're still getting stuff done, dude. You're not sitting there doing nothing. Alright? So what I would do is put an event or something in place for you to aim for, to have your models ready for, right? And make sure that you've got goals for each night that let you do a little at a time without losing your mind. That's what I would do. Alright? Cool. I think that might actually be it. Let's have a look. I think that's it. Yeah, that is it. So that is the last of our... Oh, hang on. No, there is one more here. There is one more here. Let me just open this one. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Hi, North. How would you deal with suffering from severe depression in January? It's a really hard time for me. How'd you get about it? Okay. A nice question to end the video on, I think. So... yeah, January is very grey and very sparse and very not nice. I will grant you that. For me, man, look to your friends. That's the main thing I can tell you to do. Look to your friends. Get out there and have some fun. Go out and have a drink. Go out and meet new people. Use the hobby to do so. Use the hobby to get out, play some games. What it's going to take is a bit of bravery on your part. Essentially, my friend, you're going to have to go out there, go and have some fun on your own with friends. You know, get out and outlast it. I know it's very drab, very dreary, you know, but there are things you can do for free, even if you're skint. You can go and play 40k. You can go and play whatever board game or anything that you want. Any board gaming cafe around you will have a singles night. Not in terms of relationships, but in terms of, like, you know, you just turn up and play games with other people. I've gone to a few in my local city, right? And Liverpool's shit for things like that. So your city will be better than mine, I'm telling you now. So that's what I would do. I would go out to one of these nights and I would have fun. I'd just generally have fun. Keep doing that. I've got a mate of mine, Matt, and he used the Meet People app, whatever it was called. And he would do it on there, and he'd absolutely go out on a few nights out and have a really good time. If you don't have any friends, that's a good way to do it. Make sure that you're on our Discord, and you're talking to people on there. Make sure that any hobbies that you have, you throw yourself in. If you've seen the game that you've always wanted, or if you've got a backlog of games, literally, get on there, play a few video games for an hour or two a night. Get yourself out of that headspace of circling the drain, alright? Lastly, food. If you've got a missus, or you're living with a friend or whatever, put some effort into doing a nice meal. Go and get some ingredients. One thing I love to do is bolognese, right? So I'll do a really nice bolognese with red wine and really high quality meat. I even throw bacon in there, you know, tomatoes, mushrooms, beef stock, all that good stuff, and garlic bread. I do a really good Italian, and it just seems to, like, perk me up and put me in a really good mood. And I'm telling you now, feeding other people sometimes, you never know, it could be your thing. It certainly is mine. I love doing it. I love making things for people and having them eat it. They're just great. It's a really good feeling to have. So that's what I would do. There are loads of different tools there for you to use, but do not sit there circling the drain. That's the worst thing you can do. The only thing that you can fail at in terms of this is to sit there circling the drain. That's the only thing. Everything else you do, success. Go. Do it. Have fun. Alright? Alright. I love you a long time. I will speak to you very, 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 very soon. Well, tomorrow, actually, for some more Hobby Nightmares. Have a good one. See you then. Bye now.